50 Mercury and that 30 Model A sedan that's sitting here. They didn't know about them. And when they were left, they bought all three of them. I imposed my will on them without pushing, without being stupid or an asshole, and they took them because I made them a good deal, and I talked and talked. Because I said, you should have, these are the cars you need in your shop. And I told them, I said, I'm not telling you how to run your business, but if you're a street rod shop, you don't wait till they bring in their project. You have projects sitting there that you can sell these people, and then you can direct the way it's going to get done. That gets you more work. He said, yeah. And I said, if you got a Model A sedan, a 50 Mercury, and a 44 pickup sitting in your street rod shop, that's some of the best things you can ever have. You know what I mean?
Yeah. For sure.
And when they left here, they bought them all. And I imposed my sell and shipping, and it's just, when you're talking to people, I'm telling the truth. I said, I'm not trying to tell you run your business, but it's just a good shit. Because when I had my body shop, I did the same thing. I always had shit sitting around.
I'll do my beard.
Been a lot. Oh, no beer for you. But we just had a good time. And when I went out west, I knock on the door, I step back, I say, would you like to sell that? And they say, no, but you go up the street, recommend some more. Invite me in, we can talk about it, people just naturally like me all the time.
So what are you thinking about doing with the, you think about doing with the tender?
This shit.
This one?
Have it ready to go down the road by Tuesday. And don't let the Bondo fool you. It's just fixing some scrapes and things and a few things. There's no Bondo and rust holes or nothing. It's a solid old truck. Original frame, nice roller. Everything's been painted, molded together. It's going to make some of that. And that is original paint. If you look at the green, a little bit of green is left, and that red primer, that's factory. That's how. T-bone his ass when he's out on the racetrack.
Yeah, that's pretty damn cool right there.
The carpenter drywall man gets there and finishes his wall, hang up or hint.
Yeah, that's cool. We ought to make a tribute truck that looks like that and paint the damn same thing on
the
it.
whole side.
Yeah, paint it just like that.
Bedside and put it up on the wall.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
The tailgate's on back. Yeah, this thing is in a million pieces, but this is cool. Batman front stub. Triangulated 4-inch, 9-inch rear. They're all new air ride shockwave. You got a 51 fastback. It's been sectioned, high sectioned by an autistic dude out of Georgia. I thought he messed it up, but after I looked at the measurements, he did good. I've got the upper seals. He widened it. Stopped here because of the geometry throwed off this hinge. So I'm just going to suicide the doors and put the caps back on. But this thing's got 56 Chevy headlight extensions. 61 Pontiac front bumper's got to be narrowed. It's got the 61 Pontiac bullnose using 57 Chevy wheel arches front and rear to give it some style because these are so flat and plain. And then you got, well, they're all put all right down, but you got 55 quarter panels with 57 Cadillac tail fins, which is pretty cool. But they'll set on top of it. 55 quarters will make it straighter to the ground, make it parallel to the ground, which will make it look lower. And then these quarters are going on top of that. Down like that. We'll take these humps off and graft them in. And then 44 two-door sedan, I believe, it don't much make a difference. It's turned upside down for the rear window to give that kind of a different look. And the cool thing about the 55 quarters is you can use, most people never recognize this, 55 Pontiac station wagon taillights, which will be cool in those quarters. That'll give you a different look. And the chrome trim for the caddy, I'll take this pot mill and sit down and file it and round it so it'll match up to these when I get done. But that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, that's gonna be
56 Chevy rear bumper. We gotta get this thing. The trunk's been already pie cut.
This gonna be crazy.
But this is gonna be a wild one. This is the best thing. I actually want to call it either Sled King or the King Sled. I think we might get down with
This thing is all.
I'll use the dash out of that 55 truck.
This thing's chopped more than anything else, and then we ain't even a quarter done on it.
Got a 4-door 57 in it. I grafted in by myself, just sitting in it. It bolts to it, that 57 frame. There's a chassis in there, but it's that's gonna be a while, dude. It's gonna be a wild one. Here's the bull nose. Here's down the middle of the hood. And it's tapered backwards this way, negative taper, just like your 56 headlight. So when it comes down here, it tapers back just like these headlights do. So I kind of put that thing together in my mind.
Oh, yeah.
Some ultralight.
It's gonna be badass, dude.
71 El Camino. It's just a
that one's on the
game.
back burner, behind the back burner.
I took off. This had the 2 outer layers, the inside and the outside, tapers over with a pinch weld. So I cut all this off and welded it up solid to clean this up because I think that chrome's kind of gaudy. It's a mix between pot metal and stainless. It never did look right. And then I shaved off the top of the bed same way. And eliminated them big, gawky, ugly-ass backup lights that go in here. And then I got to thinking how the 71 has a split lens, so you normally would use this for your parking light. Obviously here. But I got to looking at the shape of the body, and sure enough, with just a little bit of tweaking, I'll put them in here. And then we'll tint these lenses. I can leave them clear, it don't bother me, because people use a lighted bulb, but I might tint the lenses on the inside, and she'll have matching split lights.
Oh yeah.
Rain gutters are shaved, door handles are shaved. It's got leather buckets in it, custom console. And now I've thought about that old plastic Chevelle dash that's been pulled out of it. And I'm gonna get a 66 or 67 Chevelle metal dash and wrap it in there. That way you can put a digital dash in it. I shaved this where the chrome goes here and here. I've shaved all this off and welding filled in. I'm gonna actually figure out a way with this new urethane glue. I'm gonna get brave and glue these and mold this together so there won't no body seams. It's going to get an LS. It's got a nice 350 automatic in it, but I'm going to LS it. It just goes with the curve. But that one's going to be pretty tricky. And it's candy orange from here up, Hot Wheels color and white. And we're going to French and clean the bumpers up and suck them up against the body like Chip Proof does, make it look really cool. But that's nice. And it took me so long to build it for my best friend, I had to buy it from him because I'm an asshole.
Oh yeah. Cut.
There you go. Hearing from Mike in his own words. And again, if you knew Mike at all, you knew that that is who he was. I do have a few thoughts to share, and then I'll turn it over to anybody who wishes to speak. Open mic, you can say, recount your memories of him. I couldn't remember exactly how far back I had met Mike, and just kind of sitting here thinking about it today, realized that it probably goes back to 2018, somewhere along in there. I probably had met him before then, but 2018 is where I really come into play. And, of course, I had known Miss Benita and John for some time before that, and had been mowing grass for them. And then when Mike and Bonnie moved in over off 49, that's where our friendship began, and kind of grew from there. And Mike and Bonnie, the place that they're living now, had actually been abandoned for about 11 years. So you can imagine how grown up it was. And Martin had lived there before, and he was an interesting guy as far as what he did and built. And there was, can I say junk? There was junk everywhere. And I say junk everywhere because if Mike hauled it off, it was junk. And he hauled off, Miss Bonnie said that he had hauled off like 80,000 pounds the first year they lived there. And so, like I say, for Mike to haul it off, it was junk. So, like I say, that was the beginning of our friendship, and over the years, it just certainly grew from there. I didn't realize how famous I was until today. People talk, oh, that's Reverend Bill. That's Reverend. I said, okay, yeah, that's me. But anytime that he needed something moved that was a little bit more than what he could handle, and I will go ahead and say this, he had an amazing ability to move stuff by himself. And if you could have seen where they're living now, if you could have seen it when they moved in, you would think you just need a bulldozer and a torch, just burn it and start over. But he moved it. And when he couldn't, he'd call me and say, hey, I need you to come over with the tractor. And I'd go over, and usually it wouldn't take but, less than an hour to do whatever it was that he needed to do. But I also knew that whenever I went over there, I needed to plan an extra hour because we would sit and talk a lot. As you saw in the videos, he was a visionary. He had the ability to see a project, and before he even began on it, he could see the finished project. And he had an amazing ability to do that. As Bonnie was saying earlier, he could see colors that we couldn't see, and he had an amazing talent for that. Of course, like I say, when I went over there, it didn't help that I'm a bit of a car guy as well, and of course he liked the Chevrolets. I was more into the Mopars, but he taught me a lot about the Chevrolets, and I would say, well, can you do this? Can you make this swap? He goes, you got to remember, this is a Chevrolet. You can swap anything on anything. So I said, okay. Actually, I was thinking about this the other day in part of the conversation, talking about the ability that he had to take cars and just piece them and patch them together. He would literally take the top of the cab off of one, the back half of a cab off of another. He would find a bed from somewhere in the front clip out in the woods, and he'd get done with it, and it looked like it just rolled out of the factory. Had a gift. He'd take rusty scrap, a little bit of welding, a little Bondo, and some paint here and there, and make something out of it. Of course, like I say, I live basically right around the corner from Mike and Bonnie, and of course, like I say, I was also mowed their grass, kept the yard up, and so it was always interesting. I had to drive by their house to go to mine. So every time I went to my house or left my house, I would always looking in the backyard, always looking down by the shop. Okay, what is Mike drug home now? And or looking and see in the for sale lot. What's he put together? What does he have? There's always something on that trailer, either going to sell, just bought, or trade. He had a gift. Another thing I was thinking about, it was very rare that he would leave a vehicle stock. I think the 78 TA was the only one that he actually left stock. Everything else was right. You saw when he was walking around the El Camino a while ago, he said, it had this on it. I didn't like it. I just cut it off and boxed it in. And yeah, to look at it, you couldn't even tell. I mean, you would think that it was factory, but in other times, he would make those subtle changes. Other times, he would make some radical changes. And there was no doubt that Mike loved life. There's no doubt that he had a passion for old cars and trucks. And like I said, he spent most of his time in the shop. He was putting them together or on the road going to get more projects. Patches, Square Body Chevrolet, sitting outside today. Told him that was one of the last road trucks that he built, and his nephew Michael, Bad Banana, out there as well. So that was kind of their projects that they kind of built together. Mike took Michael under his wing and a great influence in his life. And as Michael said, Mike was like a dad to him. Of course, Michael kind of inherited that Chevy Orange blood as well, and kind of runs through his veins now. And I was thinking about this. You still got a Cadillac you got to put back together. So you got more than a Cadillac to put back together. But yeah, you got a Caddy sitting over there. Michael, they were at Daytona, Moultrie. In fact, they were supposed to have gone to Moultrie this past weekend, and or wherever there was a car show or swap meet, you could find them there. Like I said, he loved life, loved old cars, but I got to say that more important than that, he loved his family. His boys, Austin and Matthew, of course, his daughter, Crystal, his grandchildren, his great-grandchildren, his nephew, Michael. And Mike absolutely adored his wife, Miss Bonnie. And I think, I'm not 100% sure, but I think he even liked his sister a little bit. Actually, Mike adored you as well. Of course, like I say, we were kind of joking about this a little bit earlier. I think there is still some unresolved aggression between Mike and Bonnie. Well, between Bonnie toward Mike. The other day we were together. We were just sitting around talking, and Bonnie made the statement, "You know who got me in trouble, and he didn't get in trouble." So yeah. Husband, dad, brother, uncle, and friend. I would say that it is rare to have more than a handful of friends. When I talk about friends, I'm talking about those who are there through thick and thin. I'm talking about those who are there when you need them most. And I got to say that I feel to be blessed to have been able to call Mike Abney my friend. If you knew Mike, you knew that he loved you. Today, a week ago, I had gone over to see Mike, and there was a couple of things that he needed some help with, and so I went over there to help out with that and to do what needed to be done. And as I said earlier, whenever you go over there, you just plan an extra hour minimum. and I learned something with Mike. As soon as I get there, I say, "All right, I got to go. I got to go. I'll see you later." And 15 minutes later, "Mike, I got to go." "Well, let me show you this one more project, Mike. I got to go." An hour later, "Mike, I've got to go. One more project. You're going to love this." And so, yeah. Last Tuesday, I'm glad I did. He, Michael, myself, we were sitting out in the shop, and we're talking about the future. And again, that was one thing Mike always did. He was a visionary. He was always looking ahead. He never here today. He was always looking to the future. And as he was talking about plans for one project and another, of course, little did I know, or anyone else for that matter, that'd be the last time that I'd see. Of course, we talked about ongoing projects. We talked about clearing some more land. In fact, that's what I was doing over there today. I'd been over there clearing some more land. Of course, you know when you clear land for Mike Abney, it's to make room for more cars. So we talked about the recent heart attack that he had had. We talked about the stents that they had put in. We talked about a lot of things that day. And then as we talked, the conversation turned to something that was a little bit more important. He talked about something that was heavy on his heart that he wanted me to know. Because in truth, we really don't know how many days God is going to give us on this earth. As we know too well, sometimes God takes us in the prime of life. Sometimes God leaves us to a very old age. Sometimes God takes us somewhere in the middle. For Mike, it was just short of 65 years. After his heart attack just a few weeks ago, Mike kind of got to thinking about some things, and the question in the back of his mind was, well, what if it's my time? What if it's my time? As we sit and talked on that Tuesday, he shared with me a conversation that he had with God, and basically he told the Lord, he said, I'm not ready to go. Again, if you knew Mike, he was looking to the future. He said, Lord, there's still things that I want to do. Now, I wanted to, him and Bonnie was talking about taking some vacation time and camping, not in the backyard, but actually going and camping. Spending time with his family, those that he loved the most. And of course, there's always cars to build. And even though there were things that he still wanted to do, he made peace with the Lord that if it was his time, he was ready to go. He told the Lord, he said, I don't know what your will for my life is, but whatever it is, I'm ready. Wouldn't be very long. Actually, it was the next day, just over 24 hours, that God would call him home. I want to share a passage with you from the psalmist David as he writes in Psalm chapter 39, verses 4 through 7. I share this with you from the New Living Translation. The scripture says, Lord, remind me how brief my time on earth will be. Remind me that my days are numbered, how fleeting my life is. You have made my life no longer than the width of my hand. My entire lifetime is just a moment to you. At best, each of us is but a breath. We're merely moving shadows, and all of our busy rushing ends in nothing. We heap up wealth, not knowing who will spend it. And so, Lord, where do I put my hope? And he answers the question with this. He says, my only hope is in you. The only place Mike could find hope, the only place he found peace was through the Lord. And the truth is, it's the only place that we're going to find it. There's no doubt today, or days like today, is not easy. Some of the darkest valleys that we can walk through. But we can walk through. And we can know that the sun's going to come up tomorrow. And we can know that the Lord is going to be by our side. And we can know that we can never walk alone, because God is with you. As we celebrate the life and legacy of Mike Abney, let us never forget the love that he had, the laugh that he gave, the lessons that he taught, and the life that he lived. Until I see you again, my friend. Thank you. Is there anyone who would like to share thoughts or ideas about the life of Mike Abney. It is your time to shine. Anybody?
I'm gonna try. Mike was always there. He's my big brother. I always had him to fight with and argue with, but we had so much fun when we were kids. We laughed so hard sometimes that we cried, and we were at each other. My mom always made us stay close because she said, "You always will have us. All you have is each other. You have to stay close." So she kind of beat it into our heads, and I've told that with these three kids. I said, "You got to take care of each other because that's all you got." You know, um, it's when I was in the hospital with him, he told me, the same thing, that he said, "I don't want to be fatalistic, but if something happens, I'm okay." He says, I'm at peace. He says, I'm not afraid. He says, I've made my peace with God a long time ago. He was baptized when he was 11 or 12. I don't know, something like that. But, we went to church all the time as kids and everything. I mean, yes, he hasn't went in years, neither have I, but that's another story. But anyway, he told me, he said, of course he told me, he gave me rules. He said, if something happens to me, he says, you help Bonnie get everything handled, and you take care of the kids, and you make sure that they're okay. And I said, well, I don't want you to go anywhere. And he's like, well, he says, it'll be all right. And he put his arm on my side. And, I just said, I'm not, I don't want you to go anywhere. And he's like, well, I don't either, but, but he was my first best friend. And we had our fights over the years. I get aggravated with him and all that, but we've always loved each other, and we were so much alike. Of course, my competition at school, because I'd go to school, he was 3 years older than me, and all the teachers were like, are you as good as your brother? And I'm like, oh, I have to work hard now to really show him up. But, and I in the book, I just had random memories, and they just kept coming at me, like building the car by mail. I think I'll never forget that as a kid. I'd come home from school first, and there'd be a bumper, there'd be a carburetor, and he'd try to show me what they do, and I didn't care. Didn't understand it anyway, but I told him, I said, are you building this car by mail? What are you doing? But he did. He took this rusty old 63 Impala and turned it into a show car, and I remember him hand painting the flames on it under the cardboard at our house. I mean, it was just all those models, like the little truck on top. I was pointing out to Crystal, I said, he hand painted with a little tiny brush, keep on trucking. I mean, just like Brian had said, he says Brian wanted to put all of his models together stock. Mike was not doing anything stock. His were always modified and painted, and he took my Barbie car and he says, this needs some chrome on it, so he painted the pinstripes and stuff on it, and he wouldn't leave anything alone, it's just, but we would spend our Saturdays, me sitting there playing Barbies or Jacks or something, and we had this one spare bedroom, and he had his models in there, and I think Brian used to come over, and y'all build models, and Mike would get mad and throw it against the wall when it didn't go together right, and cuss a little bit, and but we spent our Saturdays, always doing that. And then in the summers, we didn't run around the neighborhood that much, but we played cards, and we listened to records, and we listened to the radio, and we just laughed all the time. And that's, anytime you're around Mike, anyone that knows Mike knows you're going to be laughing because in the hospital, the doctor come in and said, tell me a joke or whatever, and he had the nurses just laughing until they were crying down there. They were just, that's just how he was. I mean, Mike just liked to make people laugh. He always had some sarcastic comment. I mean, I do too, but, it's just kind of the way we are. But, and I guess that's why we got along so good, because our sense of humor was very similar. Love of music most of the time, and we just had so much in common. We always were close, always. I can't remember a time without him, and I'm having a hard time thinking about not having my big brother, but I know he's okay. It's hard. I don't want to be the oldest person in the family, and I am now, and it just is just hard. I loved him with everything I have, and it's, it's, it's just hard. This one's going to take me a little while to get over. I mean, I went through others, everybody knows with mom and dad, mom, John. But this one's going to be hard. I didn't expect him to leave me this soon. I really didn't. We always thought, dad died at 56, mom died at 66, and I assumed that we would always live way past them. I just didn't see this one coming at all. And it just, it sucks. That's all I can think of. But he had a lot of people that I think really liked him. He knew a lot of people. He networked a lot, and he had a lot of friends. And he made an impression on just about everybody that knew him, I think. Maybe good, maybe bad, but he made an impression one way or another, because that's just how he was. But he's a fantastic guy, and he loved his children so much. He worshipped those kids, all of you kids. He loved you all. You have to know that. You should not have any doubts about how much he loved you. I'm so proud of all of you. So you just have to do him proud. But he worshipped you guys, all of you. So anyway, my whole life is intertwined with his. It always has been. And it's going to be hard not being able to call him and say something or try to ask him for advice, even though that could be questionable. But I could try. But it's hard not to have that other person to call. It's someone I always relied on my whole life. And it's just hard. But I will survive. It just won't be easy.
Thank you. Anyone else? Word about Mike. You want to say anything?
We were just talking about this last night at dinner. Something that it's
I'm right here. I got you.
it's just a core memory. Smell of paint, dirt under my nails, at least. Bondo. Ugh. Get fiberglass resin somehow, even though I was nowhere near him doing fiberglass. And listening to him throw things and cuss as he's working on cars. And but then being so proud of the end result. It's his fault I'm into classic cars. I blame him completely. No, there are worse addictions for sure. But just loved him so much. He pulled one last joke on me though. I begged him, please tack that lead sled together before you croak. But at least we got the video with complete step-by-step what he wanted. Because there was no way. it is just a pile of parts right now. And there is no way I could have put that together without that video. So I'm work on it. It might take me the rest of my life to get that thing together, but I'm going to try. But that's just honor his legacy. What's that? Yeah. Yeah. I'm thinking the dark blue like that truck was. 89. But,
Nice.
one day maybe we'll be able to cruise in it. We'll probably be
Take it to Old Town.
we'll probably be 70 years old by then by the time I get it done. But
Cruising down the street. Yeah. First of all, I want to thank everybody for coming to celebrate my dad's life. dad was a man of unconditional love, deep wisdom, and unwavering support. His presence in all of our lives was a gift that we will all cherish forever. My dad was more than just a father to me. He was a guide, a mentor, and a source of strength. His laughter filled my heart and everyone else's with joy, and his smile made everyone feel welcome and loved. He taught all of us the value of hard work, integrity, compassion, and leading by example in everything he did. He had a unique way of turning ordinary moments into extraordinary memories. Whether it was just a game of rummy, going to a magic game, or just having a family dinner, my dad's zest for life was truly remarkable. Even though my dad is no longer here with us, he will live on through the lessons he taught us, the love he shared with us, and the stories he told us, sometimes over and over again. I am forever grateful for the 43 years that I got with him. I will always hold those memories close to my heart. And I know that my dad is good and okay. He's with my nanny. And I just want to say that I love him so much.
Thank you.
Well, I guess it's safe to say that the good Lord is pulling his holy hairs out right now because Mr. Mike is trying to convince him to put hot rod flames on his holy chariot right now. I know that for a fact. I've known Mike since I was probably this tall, going on 30 years. And he was there for me when my old man passed away. Mike is family to me. And I spent 2 days with Mr. Mike Abney in his shop, working on stuff that I probably didn't know what I was doing, but I figured it out anyway. And we just hung out for 2 days. And he made me feel like Mike made me feel. He made me feel like family. And that's what I took away from it. You know, we in the family we call Mike Chewy, and it's not because he's tall or hairy or anything like that, but that's just a term of endearment. You know, you have those things with family. Well, that's how Mike made me feel. That's how he made me feel for 2 days. That's all it took. And yeah, he's gonna make that holy chariot look awesome. I know he is. So that's what I wanted to share.
Anyone else? Anybody else? I don't know how close to attention you were paying to the video, but when he was talking about the lead sled, I think I counted at least 5 different cars that are donating parts to that lead sled. 8 cars. Cadillacs, Fords, Pontiacs, Chevrolets, Buicks. I mean, anyway. He would have made it look good. He'd have made it work. Yeah, he'd make it work. Anybody else? Thoughts about Mike? Again, thank you all for coming out today and enjoying a meal together and just sitting around thinking about, again, the life and legacy of Mike. If you knew him, he touched your life. If you knew him, you know he loved you. If you knew him, You knew that he was full of life, and he would not want us to be sad, but to remember him and to carry on. So that's what we're going to do. Again, Miss Benita has printed several of the books that you see laying around. Please grab one or two and hand it off to somebody else that might have known him. And that kind of sums up his life in that book for sure. So there you go. All right. Anything else before we dismiss? Let's pray. Father, again, we do thank you for the day that you've given to us. Lord, again, as we've come together and shared our thoughts and shared our memories about Mike, God, we ask that his memory, his legacy, his lessons live on. Father, if all of us could love life as much as he loved life, Father, I think this would be a better world. God, I do thank you for the experience of getting to meet him and Bonnie and this family. And Father, to be able to share in some of those same memories. Lord, thank you. Again, wrap your arms of love and comfort around us. In Jesus' name, amen.